it is time once again for another edition of the Chicago Bears post-game show right here on the Kenikkasports channel on YouTube. And what do you know, Nika? The Bears make it 4. I say 4 wins in a row. Wow. When's the last time that happened? It was in the Matt Nagy era of 2018. Similar to that 3 in a row we were celebrating just last Tuesday.
Also, we keep adding.
We are adding on, yes. We are going to be going for 5 in a row later on next week, but we got to get through this week first. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly Chicago Bears postgame show. But no joke, Nika, no joke. This might have to become the good, the better, and the bad postgame show very shortly because the Bears are making improvements.
Well, that's good.
There might not be that much ugliness left to be had, but nevertheless, this is still going to be the good, the bad, and the ugly, but we might touch on the better this week because, you know, Coach Ben Johnson, by the way, has this mantra, if you didn't know. If you haven't seen him in one of those victory celebrations in the locker room after a game, you'll know that they say good, better, best. They want to play good, but they want to continue to get better and eventually get to be their best version of themselves. It's a work in progress kind of thing, and it leaves room for improvement and growth. It's a easy, catchy, fun football thing for the coach to kind of communicate that we should never get complacent.
Of course. Plus, as a team, you always want to get better.
Nevertheless, don't be surprised if there's a good, better, best, like artwork or of some kind made to sit behind me on this show because I like it. You know, you should always strive to be good, better, and your best version of yourself.
That's true.
Absolutely. So good job, Coach Johnson. Thank you for bringing that out there. But if this is your first time here, please do us a favor. Like this video, subscribe to the Kenikka Sports Show on YouTube, and ring that bell for our mascot, Frexy. Look at that face. Come on. Look at those Bears orange goggles she's got on, Nika.
She's
doing better than me today. Let's start with the good, shall we?
Yes. What was so good? Oh.
I got this in my good column for Sunday's game. Another strong running game for the Bears. Another week of getting it done on the ground. Something Ben Johnson has talked about needs to be a feature, a staple of this Bears offense going forward. Not just now, but forever. You know, Ben Johnson, even though a lot of the passing yards and the statistics get a lot of recognition, the Lions were also a monster running team. And so he's going to want to run the ball, and he's a really great coach with play design and schematics. Bears getting it done on the ground, 222 yards, over 200 yards running, and you're probably going to win the football game.
Oh, yeah.
A majority of the time. That is a season high for the beloved. And they were getting, once again, 5.6 yards per carry. If you remember, they had 5.4 against Washington, but that was by far a big jump coming out of the bye week. So good to see them kind of maintain and even, like you said, improve by a couple decimal places. 40 attempts. We ran 40 running plays.
Wow.
Big time. And 2 rushing touchdowns. All 3 of our running backs got involved, kinda. I wrote that down, kinda. But Kyle Monangai, the 7th round rookie draft pick that we kind of took, I think, as a last resort because all the running backs kept getting taken like 1 or 2 picks right before us. And anyways, nice to see him get involved here because
I think he added 81 yards in the score.
He had 81 yards on 13 carries. That's a 6.2 average, everybody.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. Both he and DeAndre Swift, by the way, not the biggest of looking guys. Like it's
sometimes you don't need those big dudes, you know.
It's not Derrick Henry out there, everybody, you know. But they are slippery and they can find those little cracks out there. And next thing you know, they're in the second level and then possibly the third.
Sure.
You see, they both had long runs, too, in these stats. 23 yards for DeAndre Swift, 24 for Kyle Monangai. So, I mean, whenever you can get big breakout runs like that, it's just backbreaking to a defense. You
And
know?
it's nice to see Bears finally having this running game.
Oh, they've been looking and looking and looking. Even last year it was ugly.
Yep.
And so, yeah, we were always keying in on a running back in the draft. It felt like even going into the offseason, and yet it fell to the 7th round. So maybe we got a good one, but down there, you never know. There's Tom Brady's out there, everyone.
Scouting reports, sometimes it's a hit or miss.
They didn't even have a 7th round when Tom Brady got drafted.
There you go. So,
They invented the 7th round probably because of him. Be like, well, maybe there's still some gold down there, everybody. They're going to be an 8th round and a 9th round one day.
Exactly.
Shit, man. They're going to make it a whole month-long affair of NFL, like Mel Kiper Jr., like 470th pick. Like, this guy's going to be fantastic.
Yes.
Oh, I digress. What a great game. Even Roshan Johnson getting the rock here one time for 11 yards. I saw that run, by the way, and I thought after I saw that run that he would get the ball more. I was wrong. Nevertheless, there's only one ball and only so many times to hand it off. But when you have a running game like this, it will definitely make up for some of those inefficiencies that we saw in the passing game this week. This was a monster running game for the Bears. DeAndre Swift goes over 100 yards for the second straight week, 124 yards rushing alone. And so, yeah, the message this week is keep going, Bears. Keep running the football this well, and good things will happen to you. But I did want to add in this week, before we get on to the bad and the ugly, the better.
Oh, what's better?
We are doing better, at least for now. This might not be a permanent fixture, but there's also room to grow to the best.
Okay. So what got better?
The Bears defense.
Oh, yes.
The Bears defense just continues to impress me this season, Nika. They completely, for all of our greatness on the ground this week, the Bears completely shut down the Saints running game. They only got 44 yards rushing the entire game versus our 222, I want to remind
That's
you.
a huge difference.
Huge difference. They ran the ball less than half as many times as us, only 17 times. I mean, when you fall down in a game like this, like we had hoped that the Saints would get down in this game early, you're going to be forced to pass to try and get back into the game. So that's sort of what happened here. But also, the Saints had no shot at running the ball all game long. 17 attempts, 44 yards. That's just 2.6 yards per rush. Awful.
Well, that's why their record is 1-5, 1-6 now.
Yeah. Now they did get 209 yards in the air, but like I said, that was kind of because they were forced to, right? Like whenever you're in this kind of a game, you have to try and air it up to get back into it, and somewhat with some success. Though I want to point out that they also were forced into 3 interceptions by the Bears, and the Bears continue to just be ball hawkish.
And you were asking for that.
I love it, and I do think that the Bears, the way they're hawking for the ball, I know it's a Dennis Allen feature, but I want to remind you that Dennis Allen was kind of picked by Ben Johnson. We don't know the exact process behind the scenes once he was hired, how they decided to zero in on Dennis Allen. But I feel like a lot of it has to do with Ben Johnson. And he came in here and said, like, look, the Bears need to get back to their Lovie Smith ways, to their Buddy Ryan ways, to their Mike Ditka. I know Mike Ditka was the offensive-minded coach, but he was the head coach when the Bears were ball hawkish, when they, instilled fear into the minds and hearts of their opponents. Richard Dent, Mike Singletary, Brian Urlacher, Peanut Tillman, these guys, and the roster of lists. So this is how I want the Bears to be. So I'm loving the fact that they are dominating the turnover battle week after week now, and they get 4 more here compared to just 1 for us. So whenever you win the rushing game and the turnover battle in the same game, I mean, I'm almost going to say 99.9% chance of victory in the NFL.
You should win the game. Then.
You are controlling the game at that point.
Absolutely.
So not surprised when you look at these numbers to see that the Bears came out on top here, and they covered that point spread, everybody. That 5.5 point spread that Nika said, nah, and I said, yay. I was right. The game kind of went in the direction I thought it would. But, Yeah, I love the effect that Ben Johnson's having on our defense as well as our offense. You know, it's a great attribute that I think went unrecognized in this whole process. It's all been like offensive oriented when it comes to conversations around Ben Johnson being the coach of the Bears and how he's going to improve the team. But I don't think anyone was really talking about, oh, he might make the Bears defense even better. Like,
Right, because he wasn't defensive coordinator. He was more of an offensive guy. And now we see his
and I don't think he's drawing up the schematics or anything. I think he went out and found a defensive coordinator that's ball hawkish in Dennis Allen, and he's brought that attribute to the Bears. The Bears. All right, Nika, you want to talk about some bad?
Sure.
All right, let's talk about some bad. Well, Caleb Williams was bad, everybody. Caleb Williams had not a great game on Sunday. In fact, I would go as far as to say this was his worst game of the year so far, even worse than the Detroit game.
Ouch.
And it's not even close. That's how I view what I saw on Sunday.
Well, so he had a bad game, but win is a win. So that's a good thing to have.
A win is a win, but you got to be critical and you got to point out the bad, for a lack of a better word. I'm hesitant to call it ugly because I don't think we saw Caleb Williams completing less than 50% of his passes or anything like that. He did have the one interception, which I don't think was a very good throw, obviously. But all in all, it was not ugly. But it was bad. It was bad, you know. The completion percentage right around 58 again, which we're still struggling to get to that 70% mark that Ben Johnson set before the season. Now it's only 6 games, folks. So we're not going to hit the panic button. We got 11 more of these to get through.
Okay.
172 yards, you know, like we don't even get 200 yards in the ground against a team that I think we should have gained more air attack against.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. No passing touchdowns for, I think, the first time this season in a game for Caleb. No passing touchdowns. And just a 61.7 quarterback rating, much down from like I think it was 98 he put up against Washington. And just in general, he's had much better games this year.
So he maybe had a bad day that day.
I just feel like he never got into a rhythm throwing the ball. It was his lowest yards per attempt this season, 6.6. We've talked about how even on the Commanders game on Monday when he threw for 8.7 yards per attempt. He threw for more than Jaden Daniels did in that game, despite still being at 58% completion. So this is a little bit of a digression week, I would say, or a regression maybe. But I do also want to point out a couple other things. He had troubles with 2 snaps from Drew Dahlman this week. Not really sure what was going on with that, but that has to get cleaned up. You know, like we shouldn't be having missed snaps in any games. You know, like I know they happen to the best of them. But like you're looking at like what, 1, maybe 2 a season. 2 in one game is bad.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's something weird going on there. That I feel like they just go and hike the ball 100 times this week if you need to.
Basic.
But I do have a theory as to what is going on with Caleb Williams this week, and maybe even a little bit last week if you want to talk about the accuracy being down, you know, below 60%. And I feel like since the Bears have come out of the bye week, they were challenging Caleb Williams, and Daryl Moose Johnston, the Fox color commentator from Sunday's game, actually explained this during the game, what was happening with Caleb Williams, I think. And that is the Bears are emphasizing that they want Caleb Williams to hit receivers with space to run. So basically, they want to get yak. They want yards after the catch. They want receivers to catch the ball with space to make more moves, more plays. They want them to utilize all this great athleticism that they have as wide receivers. They are the fastest and the most playmaker players out there in general.
So they want basically Caleb to throw a ball to a running receiver and for him to keep going.
Yes, they don't want them to be stopped when they have to catch the ball. They want them to be catching the ball while running and continue to run once they catch it. And this makes tons of sense, right?
Of course.
However, I think that's what is causing Caleb to look off right now is because he's thinking about this too much. They've put this idea in his head that this is how he needs to hit people, and yet he doesn't have the time and the reps yet under his belt to where he's comfortable, and he's thinking too much out there.
Yeah, because
he's holding on to the ball again a little bit longer.
He's thinking where the receiver is going to end up, and not using his muscle memory to know where that player is going to be.
He's learning, and his timing and rhythm is off, and we see it firsthand. Yeah. But I feel like I'm just trying to draw two data points here together because, you know, you could wonder, like, this doesn't make any sense. Why is this happening? Why did he look so good a couple weeks ago, and now he looks like this again? Like, what's happening? You know, the Saints aren't that good.
That's true.
I could make an argument that Dallas might be better, and yet he picked them apart and looked like such a different guy. Like, what's going on? And I think this is what it is.
That's a good point, because he does need to improve in that direction. So when is the best time to do it? During the game.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And sometimes when you're learning a new ability or a new skill set, it doesn't necessarily translate from practice into like live action game right away. But hopefully Coach Johnson this is what they hired him for, is to help Caleb now that he has kind of, his pride has taken a hit this week a little bit. So hopefully he can get him back and get him righted, because we don't want him thinking out there. No, that's the worst thing.
But the best way to practice that kind of a drill is to practice against a team that you should be beating anyway, instead of a team that is going to give you a challenge to win.
The thing they need reps. You know,
absolutely.
Reps fix everything. We've learned that in baseball. You know, if you don't give yourself enough reps, you know, your swing becomes inconsistent. Like, so they need to get out there and get reps. And I also want to point out that I think if the Bears can unlock their passing game, because I don't think it's been fully unlocked yet with Caleb Williams this season. I think we've seen glimpses that it could be really good, but we're not there yet. We're not cooking with grease. The running game has gotten going. Now, if the passing game gets unlocked, the Bears could become a legitimate threat even now this season. You know, the defense looks that good.
I know you're drinking a lot of Kool-Aid, but it's a work in progress.
It is a work in progress, and you know, we're not even to the good, better, bad show yet, because there is still some ugly that we got to get to, Nika.
Yes,
and that would be the situation regarding Bears penalties.
Oh, that is the ugliest.
The Bears this week against the New Orleans Saints, I think, had their worst week of penalties yet, with 10 penalties, double digits, baby. 10 penalties for a total of 92 yards.
Ouch.
I want to repeat this again. 10 penalties in one game.
That's a lot.
My fear is like what I already feared what might happen has already just happened, and that is like the Bears are just being called for blind penalties because the refs think they see shit because they think they're guilty.
Well,
they've instilled it in the minds of the referees that they're guilty, that they're committing these penalties that maybe they're not sometimes, you know. And I know officiating can be terrible. This is not affecting other teams, though.
It's not.
If you would think that if officiating was just bad across the board, that other teams would be getting flagged just as much and just as often. But there are teams on the spectrum, Nika. And, you know, the Bears have only played 6 games this year, even though we're heading into week 8 coming up. And that's because they had their bye week already. And there are 16 teams that have been penalized less than them that have played an extra game.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's half the teams in the NFL. So I'm really shocked that this has actually happened under Ben Johnson, you know, and I'm not blaming him for not getting it cleaned up fast enough, but I feel like they have to clean this up if they want to be serious about competing now. And if they're not going to clean it up, then they're not going to be able to make the playoffs and achieve their goals this year.
I know, but this isn't also coach's fault.
No,
where's the personal responsibility of a player, you know, for false starts or personal fouls?
Yeah, the personal fouls, they're so infuriating, you know? Like, I have a hard time watching a defensive lineman jump in the air, block the pass with his arm, and as he comes down, his arm hits the quarterback's helmet. I mean, he's not like winding up and clotheslining the quarterback here. He's trying to tip the ball, and gravity is pushing his body back down. Like, he's not playing out of control at that point to me, where he's like trying to hit. It's so ticky-tacky. And yet I feel like the more times that they're flagged for these guilty penalties, the more times they're just going to continue to get called for them. They're going to be guilty in the mind of the referee before it even happens. And it sucks so hard to be in that position. And I don't know how you change it, Ben Johnson. I don't know how you change that culture. I don't know how you change that perception of your team when they keep calling penalties that maybe aren't there.
Well, you open the door for that by having so many penalties.
I think, it might require a season reset. And if this happens continuously throughout the season, don't be surprised if this becomes an emphasis of training camp next year with Ben Johnson to be like, we are going to work on this every single damn day, because we cannot afford for the refs to be committing psychological warfare against us, quite frankly, because this is a psychological thing that happens with referees and officials. We know this. We know this from studying ABS in baseball, and why it's come into existence is because umpires are affected psychologically by their circumstances.
Human nature, it's flawed.
We saw it in ALCS Game 7 last night. Oh. Eugenio Suarez in the 8th inning had a horrible curveball called for a strike on him on the inside corner. The ball was not touching the plate on the ABS replay. I feel like if a pitch is that far off, you got to not widen your strike zone that much. It's an inside corner, for God's sakes.
Well, that's why we're going to have ABS next season.
It is. All right. But this is ugly, and I want to bring this up because the Bears are now tied for 8th in the most penalties committed by every team this year. And there are only, like I said, the other 7 teams ahead of them all have played an extra game. So they're the first team with just 6 games played.
With the most penalties.
They're the leaders.
Wow. That's awful.
They are 6th most in most yards penalized. So even though they haven't had as many as some teams, the actual yardage that they've been penalized is more.
Most. Wow.
So they are 6th most.
So they have to work twice as much just to gain it back.
I feel like they're giving so much to the other team. And then meanwhile, other teams, when we play against them, have committed the fewest penalties in the NFL. So when it comes to the Bears being beneficiaries of penalties, they are ranked first in receiving the fewest, 30. Wow, Nika, 30. Detroit has played 1 extra game and has 33.
Oh, so the Lions are just worse.
Well, no, that means the Lions have gotten 33 beneficiary calls.
Oh, they are better. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
The Lions are way further in the against count than we are. They've committed 11 less penalties than us, and they've played 1 more game. We got to clean this up, guys. We got to. And we will get our chance next against the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore this coming Sunday at 10 a.m. Nika's got something to say.
Well, so far we've been playing teams that were 500, below 500.
Yes, and that trend will continue, but not for reasons that we think. However, the big question mark, I think, heading into next week's game, and we will be addressing this on our next pregame show this Friday, but we will probably know a lot more information then. Lamar Jackson is the big question mark right now, and he is, of course, the star quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens, the big passing and running threat, the dual threat. He's awesome.
Yes.
He was on my fantasy team last year, and I had such a great season with him. But nevertheless, I digress. He's been hurt a lot this year, so I'm glad he's not my quarterback this year.
True.
But
he's playing the next game.
Well, we don't know yet.
Oh, potentially.
They were coming off their bye week. So they did not have a game this past Sunday, and he had missed the previous 2 games. Okay. And the Ravens are now 1-5, and they're really in danger of the season kind of getting away from them.
Yeah.
So this is like a desperation game for them. It's going to be a very tough challenge for the Bears on the road here.
And it's played at their place too.
On the road, like I said. But Lamar Jackson, I think everyone expected him to be back. He did not practice yesterday.
Oh.
And so now we will wait and see if he's going to be back for this game or not. I think, yesterday, for all intents and purposes, coming off a bye week is not a normal practice day. So perhaps they were just saying like, hey, take another. Like, we'll see what happens today. You know, when you come off of a Sunday, usually Monday you watch film. And so that's probably why he was just like listed still. We'll wait and see, though.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see. All right. Well, thank you once again for joining us on this episode of the Chicago Bears post-game show victory edition versus the New Orleans Saints at Soldier Field this past Sunday. It was beautiful. Bears win 4 in a row. Can they make it 5? Stay tuned to the Kenikkasports show, everybody.
The Bears.
The Bears. Hey, cheers there, super fans.